Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com. And if you're a regular subscriber and you're getting tired of me flying out of my front yard and talking about the weather, I'm getting tired of it too. But until the weather cools off so I can ride somewhere else and not get overheated, and they're working on the roads over on the way I go into town, and that makes it real difficult to get through with a bicycle. So we just 2 days ago we had this heavy rain. It was the heaviest rain that I've experienced since we moved out here with my son, and the roads in the area were flooded, all kinds of problems like that. So, and then the next day I wanted to fly my drone and get some pictures, but it was windy and still not a good day to try to fly. So this is taken on 2 days after the flooding, and I thought I'll come over to this area where the construction is, where they had all kinds of difficulties and with flooding the neighborhood. And it looks to me like they've got it fixed, but I thought I'd come over and see how much water they collected in their ponds. And I think you can see from the video that it really, really rained. In fact, near the end of the video, I'll show you our parking lot where we live with our little house there was flooded and came within about a half an inch of coming into our little house. So it was pretty serious. So anyway, it looks to me like they've got a couple of places where they've built a dam, in that triangle thing that they've got there dug, and then they put kind of a wall around it. I think they were wanting to keep the water out of there. That's where three sewer pipes come together, I guess you could say. And then the next one up is the same thing, and that's how they get started. Dig real deep, and they didn't want that filled up with water, so they built dams around it. So anyway, I'll just let you look at the video, and I've got one more story I want to tell. It's one of my favorite stories to tell, and so I'll get started on it. First of all, in I think my last video I talked about how I went to work for a boys' boarding school in Othello, Washington, which is in central Washington, and I had been living, and in fact I still own the house in Pasco where we had lived, and there's another place where they're doing the sewer line. Anyway, so I still own that house and was renting it out while I worked at the boys' boarding school. I worked there 3 years, and the longer I worked there, the more I realized that the guy running the boarding school, well, I won't say anything bad about him. I just won't say anything good about him. I learned more and more about him all the time. And one of the things that it was a Christian boarding school. One of the things that he was one of these crazy guys that said, I listen to God's rules, not man's rules. So when they told him he had to buy building permits to upgrade the old barracks into a dormitory for the boys, he refused to do it. So after 3 years, they decided they would close them down. The county did. So so that's where this story starts. I don't remember exact year, and I'm not going to try to bore you with that. But anyway, they were going to close them down at the end of the year, and we found out about it in April. And so I decided, I'm going to start looking for another job because they were going to move the boarding school to Missouri in order to get out of the mess they were in. And, of course, moving to Missouri was not what I desired to do because, for one thing, like I said, I had property there in eastern Washington, and I had relatives that lived there and everything. So what I did was I started sending out resumes. Now, I was over 50 at this point. Trying to find a job when you're over 50 is not as easy as it was when you were under 50. I'll put it that way. And so I started sending out resumes in April and sent them out in May and June and July, all the way through August. During that time, I sent out 47 resumes and got zip returns. Actually, some people, or some businesses wrote me back and said, we don't need you. But most of it was just no response at all. And so I thought, okay. And every morning, by the way, I still do it. Every morning I get up early and I spend time with Jesus. I read the Bible and I pray a lot. And so during that time, I got up early every morning and spent time with Jesus. And one of the things, of course, I prayed for a lot of things, but one of the things I kept praying for was, please help me to find a job because I don't want to move to Missouri. I got too many things here in Washington State. And so I just basically told the Lord I didn't want to move to Missouri. And so I went through April, May, June, July, and August and sent 47 resumes out and got absolutely no response. So it was getting down to where in August and September, they were getting ready to move to Missouri, getting things all, ready to go. And I just definitely didn't want to move to Missouri. But one morning I got up and it looked to me like that wasn't a choice. It looked like I was going to have to go to Missouri with them because that's my job. That was my income. So one morning I got up and I spent time with Jesus and I said, okay, if you want me to go to Missouri, I'll go to Missouri. I'll never forget that prayer. So anyway, finished up my time with Jesus, got started on the day, and later that morning I got 2 phone calls for interviews for jobs. So stop and think for a minute. What made the difference? It was a lesson I should have known, but I didn't learn until that day. And sure enough, I had 2 interviews, and I was able to get a teaching job, teaching computers, in Spokane, Washington, which was in the same state and just further north on the eastern side of the mountains. And so I got a computer job. I liked computers, and I worked there for 5 years. But the amazing thing is, it was a lesson that I learned that we should all learn. You just say, okay, whatever you'd like me to do, I'll do it. And then you get your best blessings that way. So I'm headed back home here, and you can see there's a lot of water puddles and all kinds of flooding in the yards and stuff. And my grandson had called home right during the storm. School got out right in the middle of the storm. And so he had called home because they had all the kids call home and tell their parents either come get them or the bus would be late. And so my son, his dad, decided, okay, I'll go over to the school. He tried to drive to the school, but the roads were flooded. So then he called the school, and they told him, no, he'll be on the bus. And so he came home on the bus. So as we come along here, I speed this up a little bit because I want to show you something here. As we go around to the back side of this car, you can see where there's the concrete that's the same height as the floor in the house, and the water was up to within a half an inch of that concrete. As you can see where it's rounded off with the trowel, the water was right up to where that was. And then of course what it did was it comes down the street and comes into our parking area, and then I noticed a long time ago it kind of flows through the parking lot and then comes over in our area, and then what it does is, and I'm going to move over here, it flows around that corner and goes over to the neighbor's yard, and they had a flooded yard, but anyway. The rain quit just in time because it was raining so hard that I've never heard it rain that hard since we moved out here. So anyway, that's my story, and it looks like our weather's clearing up a little bit. We have a high pressure area moving in So maybe it's going to dry up and the monsoon season will die off. Anyway, I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.